I guess I want to also focus this. I mean, you're a pastor in Arizona, and I just think in this most recent election, there's a lot of focus on Arizona and the politics and the division. And I suppose I want to ask how you navigated those dynamics in your own church in regards to sort of the Democrat Republican division. And I don't even know how your church is made up in those, but talk about how you sort of pastored through that and what are the specific ways. I mean, you share those 10 things, but share a little bit more about what that looked like on the ground in your own church.
Yeah. So it's interesting because to give you the demographics, I would describe my church as one third leans left, one third leans right, and one third is just disillusioned and disgruntled about both of them. So um, in 2016, it was the most difficult, challenging year of pastoral ministry, not primarily because of the results or anything like that, but because of how people treated each other. And literally, I had friends who were not following Christ, who had come, who were reading the Gospels, and they were seeing so many of the things that were going on in the church, and in that they were seeing Jesus, and they began to be disinterested in Jesus as they saw the way that the church interacted around politics, and it was so sad. And so this year we sought to do better, but we started that campaign, the King of Kings campaign, and it had a couple of different facets to it. So there's those commitments that I read before. There was the political discipleship group, which I promise you is not like a propaganda group. We actually called the church to a month of prayer and fasting the month prior to the election. And and it was fasting on Tuesdays to pray for each other and to pray for the flourishing of the state and the nation, but also as a fast from social media. And I feel like that was maybe the most refreshing month of my last decade, which was really sweet. And then I think the other thing too is that if I can just be frank about some failures that I had, I think that there's a difference between fake boldness and real boldness. Fake boldness is when you're bold about ideologies and issues that nobody actually in your community or your church struggles with. So you're being bold about the problems of somebody over there. And I think that there are times when I've been tempted to do that. I think another facet of fake boldness is by saying hard things from a distance, but avoiding the face-to-face interactions. And so we identified 4 ideologies that were really tearing things apart. And then frankly, as the easiest, most obvious pastoral practice there is, I just made a list of the people I know the most who are promoting those things, functionally promoting different religions within the congregation, and just had a face-to-face conversation with them, inviting them to lead into a way that honors Christ. And honestly, half of the people got mad and left, and then half took me up on it. So I think that was a big one. And then I think another really important thing that's been different this year is that in the past, I felt like I could just talk everyone out of all the problems. But prayer and fasting and being very attentive to what the Spirit is doing in people has been way more important and central this year. So it feels like things have gone a lot better this year.